The historical schools, and note the plural S, of tarot interpretation have really the longest and greatest history, and that's what makes them wonderful. They really are the root from which it all comes. This is a facsimile of the Carrie Yale Visconti Tarocchi deck, and it shows the Lover's card here. When you buy this, it sometimes retails at $45, but you can often get it at Amazon for about $30. And there is a superstition about used tarot cards, but I don't buy into it. Can always talk about working you through that if that's a big issue for you. At any rate, this really was meant to be just a playing card deck, in the same way that when Catherine and I were married, someone bought us a punch bowl and cups, and the idea is that as a young married couple we were going to entertain, and so as a married couple the idea was they were going to entertain. Some people will say their pictures are actually on this. That's really not true. They're generic pictures, but they do have 2 knights and 2 pages in each suit, 1 male and 1 female, to really get at the aspect this is a married couple. And so that's kind of a unique deck. And this is one of the reasons we do card study, and one of the reasons, even if you decide on a particular kind of deck, you want to have others, is because a variety really stews the juices for creative thinking. Now, the Tarot de Marseille was the one that really started off the thinking. And let me get to a trump card here. For example, we have Justice. Oh, let's get a juicy one. La Papisse, the Popus. This was probably a fun joke, but some people even saw that she had wings there instead of that being part of her throne. And let's see, the Star card is quite juicy. People have projected into, for example, this tree that's the 7 planets both up and down, which is the parallel evil Kabbalistic world, the Kolut, I think it is. I'd have to look at it in Hebrew for better pronunciation. Sorry, guys. But the beauty of the Tarot de Marseille, of course, the Tarot de Marseille, is that in a lot of the historical decks, is they are the root ones. They require a lot of memorization and work, but the beauty is, of course, that if they speak to you, you definitely have the greatest part to the roots of it all. The Grand Attila III, of course, is the most ancient cartomantic deck, the tarot deck actually designed for no other purpose than, quote, reading fortunes, end quote. Really all the things we use for today, which is meditation, spiritual growth, which can include also divination, quote unquote, looking at future possibilities. The Dame's Fortune's Wheel Tarot, of course, plays heavily off these decks, and so it's sort of an integrationist, but it's very historical, and it really is the companion deck to Paul Hussen's The Mystical Tarot Origins book. So real quick, the Tarot de Marseille comes in many different groups. There's a Los Scribo deck, which I have. There's also US Games has ones. So it's not very hard. The Grand Attila III is very hard to hunt down, sadly. It only comes in a Los Scribo reproduction. It's called the Book of Thoth, because that's what Attila called it. What it was is Attila was Jean-Baptiste Ali. He spelled his name backwards as his pen name. And then the Dame's Fortune's Wheel Tarot comes in this box, and I already showed you the Carrie Yale. Now, if you give me a brief moment, and now I will show you Paul Hussen's book, The Mystical Origins of the Tarot. And so he has his points. And so I wanted the companion book because obviously if I invested in the book, I wanted the companion deck to see how he had lived this out. One of the beauties and one of the reasons that some people, you may want to go after a tarot deck like this, or it might be speaking to you, one of the great advantages from a practical perspective is if you work with people and you get a tarot fanatic, they probably will not be able to read these cards, which means they'll actually shut up and just listen to you read the cards, which is very important. It's a very hard thing, for example, for me to sometimes sit back and realize I'm getting a reading, I'm not giving a reading, and I need to listen to this other person and really honor the way they're interpreting the cards, sit back, and then later take what they said and work with that. it's very hard to sometimes let that up. And so when you're working with someone who's a real tarot fanatic, a way to knock them off balance is by using essentially a queer deck, a deck that they've never ran into before. So in the next video, let me talk about queer theory, if you will, with tarot.